Welcome to Inspired Living with Keri Murphy, the podcast, where as your host each and every week, I am going to inspire you and empower you to share your message and step into that big vision you see for yourself. I'll be bringing you celebrity interviews, influencer insights, and my personal tips from decades as an on-camera talent, TV host, media expert, and entrepreneur, so you can build a brilliant seven-figure brand. Because when you're inspired, you inspire others. So let's go. As women, I think we're always striving for this ideal body, this ideal face, this ideal energy, this ideal partner or life. And in that quest, sometimes we give up the most important thing, which is our overall health and wellness. And when I started following Christine Bullock on Instagram, I was immediately taken. I mean, the girl is stunning. She has over 20 years in beauty and fitness. She's one of the premier women in the fitness and wellness industry. But what I loved about Christine was her authenticity and her story of looking a certain way on the outside, super shredded, super fit as a fitness model, but feeling very unhealthy, going through IVF and trying to get pregnant multiple times, having miscarriages and what that did to her body, and how she found herself on a quest of wellness. And because of that, developed the premier skin and body line, Kayo, which I'm so excited to share with you today, and just how that transformed her life. See, ladies, so often we're looking at people from the outside, not understanding what's going on in the inside. And so many of us are reaching for an ideal that is either not attainable or not healthy for us. But what happens when we actually start feeling beautiful? We start feeling more confident. And in this interview, Christine really talks to us about her journey into motherhood and growing this business and some of the major shifts she took along the way to really understand what we hear so much of, right? That confidence comes from within, but so does everything else. And actually, right before the podcast, I asked her to join us at Brilliant, and she said yes. So if you are a female entrepreneur who is committed to showing up in your space as an influencer, you would love to grow a 7- and 8-figure business that creates positive change in the world, the Brilliant event is for you. And as of now, Christine is one of our featured speakers, and you are going to love all the tips she's going to be sharing on how she built this incredible business. You can just go to thebrilliantevent.com. We have a few tickets in person as well as virtual. So whether you want to finally get into a room of inspired souls or you want to stay in your yoga pants a little bit longer, we have a way for you to join us this year. So take a big, deep breath, love all that you are, and get ready to be inspired with my guest, Christine Bullock. Hello, beautiful Christine.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. We're both like hair washed, right?
Okay, we have our
got some makeup on
today.
It's a good day with two littles at home. We were just talking. How old are your kids?
So in 1 week, my biggest will be 4 and my smallest will be 10 months. So it is like they don't even recognize you when you do put makeup on and wash your hair.
Like, mama, like what is happening right now? I have to tell you, Christine, one of the things that I love, so I know that I came across your profile through my friend, Katrina Scott, who was a speaker at Brilliant last year. And I started stalking you as we do online these days.
Thank you.
And not only, I mean, come on, I mean, you're so beautiful. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But also you're relatable, you're doing videos with your baby on your hip. And I love what you've created with your beauty line and the skincare and the collagen. So I want to talk about all of it today. But I want to start with this because I know that the woman listening right now might look you up online because you are the epitome, I think, of inspired living, like how you show up and you give 100%. You're just such a light in the world. But let's face it, you're also very beautiful. In fact, you were coined one of the hottest, I wrote it down here, one of the hottest trainers in LA.
And I still don't know if that's talent wise or image wise. I was like, I always thought it was talent. And then I was like, wait, where's the quality in that?
Wait a minute here. Wait a minute. So I'm curious because you are a woman of influence. Do you ever feel that women are a little bit taken aback or feel like they can't quite get to the status in which you are at?
Absolutely. I feel like I've had that since I was a kid. And it's funny that you mentioned that. And I'm not, by no means am I saying that I am attractive, but I do think I've held a confidence since I was a very young age that is intimidating. I'm also a Capricorn, so it takes a while for me to open up, which seems cold. I've learned over the years, this truly is me. It seems cold. It's just that we're quiet and we're reserved, and that kind of seems standoffish to people. But when you get to know me, and I think that I really try to relay that via social media, since we don't know these people one-on-one and we don't get this chance, is that, I am very jovial, love to joke around, don't take life too seriously, and don't think that lifestyle, health, beauty, fitness should be intimidating. And like what you're saying, I think that some women come in no matter where they're at, and they're intimidated by taking those new steps. And then somebody can also represent that, and that feels more intimidating as well. So yes, I've always run into that.
Yeah. And I appreciate that, because I think whether, no matter what you look like, if there's a certain air of confidence or you've reached a certain level in life or business, and you could tell you work very hard on your physique, you could tell you also have some good genes in there, for the woman that is looking and inspired by what it is that you do, how do you kind of deflect that intimidation or say, you know what, this is my genetic makeup. How can you embrace your own?
And that's exactly it. It's that my life has not been perfect. And I feel so blessed because I get to be inspired by the issues that I have been through in my life. And I'm glad that it's been that way. I've been working 3 jobs since I was 15 to put food on my table, to be able to eat myself. I have had low thyroid. I have also had PCOS. I've had the hair loss with PCOS and low thyroid. You basically, everything you eat turns to fat and is not utilized as energy. So you have low energy. Who has motivation when you have low energy? I've had infertility for 5 years. Plus we adopted our first child, and then surprisingly 8 years out, got, pregnant. I've had 3 miscarriages, but kept this one baby. Like, I have been through a lot of experiences. So I feel like, it's not good genes. Like, I get that. It's not necessarily hard work because I'm a busy mom right now, but it is what I've learned are simple tips that you can utilize in your daily life for the busy, whether you're a working woman, whether you're a mama, or whether you're both, that have shockingly even worked for me. And I have been in the business for over 20 years. I'll be 40 this year, in the beauty business and skincare. And thank you. And in the fitness business and nutrition. And I feel like working with so many women, you just learn, you hear the same commonality of needs. And I always just test everything on myself.
I love your story, because I think it's also so inspiring when you see someone on the outside. And, of course, we talk so much because I teach people how to be on camera and be visible. It's the imposter syndrome. But oh my gosh, I don't look like her, or I don't have that background or whatever. And when you understand that at the end of the day, we're all human. We all have gone through our own journey to get where we are. And when you hear your stories and the things that you've been through, Christine, all of a sudden, it just makes you like so relatable in a way that maybe your pictures don't always show.
I agree. And I think that it truly is, and not to be cheesy, but it really is the inspired life, because I think that sometimes about myself, like, why am I even here? Why would anybody listen to me? Like, I'm not a double, triple PhD out here. And I always just say it's common sense. Like, I feel like I've learned these common sense, but I do this because I'm so inspired. Like, my mission truly is to help everyone else as well. I think when we feel our best internally, when our health is optimal, our energy is optimal, literally in the energy that we're outputting there in the world, it's the best for our children. And, we are the best for our families at that point. And so we really do need to take those small self-care moments. And that's what continues to drive me. And it is. I learned it for myself. I feel better. I want to pass this along.
Right. Make it easier on someone else. And I loved it when I was looking at some of your photos and your website. There's this picture of you that is like super shredded, and then there's a picture of you that is still absolutely stunning in this yoga pose that I couldn't hit on my best day. But you were saying, this is the picture that gets the most likes, and I was the most unhealthy, or I felt the most miserable. Let's talk a little bit about that, because I think as women, and then I want to talk about all the other fun products and juicy things that we have to talk about. But I think this is important because when it comes to visibility and putting yourself out there, there is this idea that we need to lose 10 pounds. We need to make sure our thighs don't touch, that we need to, get into this peak performance before we can give ourselves permission to make a difference. And I fight this all the time with women. And I feel like you've gotten to a place in your life where you've really seen that being confident is the inner game and not the outer game. So can you talk a little bit about your experience with that?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many subtopics within that, but I mean, I can say one, yes. To start off with, I was a fitness model for P90X, Insanity, American Gladiator, Sports Authority, so many of these things. And you felt like you always had to show up and you were being judged. And to be perfect, to be honest, I was never perfect because I was either too skinny or too fit or not as fit or whatever it is. And I had been a ballerina and there is some body issues there that I never went through. Here it was like, I have to be this percentage body weight. And I think that's why I really it ruined fitness for me for a little bit. And I had to take some time away from it all to really find myself. And that's by overusing my body. And I always talk about age defense fitness. That's where I'm at now. I think from 35 plus, I think we should think about it under, but at 35, something changes within our body and we're literally in protect mode. Our entire body is. We're not in build mode anymore. And so I think our fitness should change. And because I had pushed it just too much high intensity, too much overdoing it, not enough rest time, I burnt my body out. I blew my thyroid out.
Too much chicken and broccoli.
Yes. And I wasn't even that. I was a vegan at that point, and I'm not anymore.
Oh, wow.
I always say that about the fitness people. I'm like, they're so stinky. They're eggs, chicken, and broccoli.
Right.
Yeah. But, and I knew what to eat. I knew what to do. But anyway, so what I found at that point, because I'd blown everything out, I couldn't move. I had no energy when I woke up every day. Obviously, it affects your mood too. I had to go through total repair to even get to a somewhat healthy point of like feeling okay again and repairing my body. And I gained a bunch of weight, and I actually felt my best at that point because I felt like I was in my most true self at that moment. Once again, I was like on what my true mission was in life. It was never to be, I actually don't like being in front of camera so much as creating and doing all of that. And it wasn't, that wasn't my thing. I feel blessed for it to have those opportunities, but I came out of it like that much wiser for sure, in being able to create things for other women and be able to represent something that they need to hear.
Yes,
I think. I mean, I had cellulite all over my body. I had 5 years of fertility. That really does things, of injectables, cellulite all over. And it's like, I was kind of the most confident of my body at that point because I just knew where I was mentally at in life at that point.
Right. That's so beautiful to hear. And I just, again, really appreciate that because, what we teach people at Inspired Living, honestly, is that your message matters. The video is just a vehicle. Whether you love to be on it or not, it's not about you. It's about the impact and how you can drive change for someone else. And you're such a beautiful example of that. And you also have done something that most women have never done, which is get to that 1% in your industry, a very competitive industry, the fitness world. Kim Lyons is also a good friend of mine. It's like that 1% of you ladies.
She lives up the street.
Feel?
Katrina lives down the street. Yeah.
Yes. And Katrina, yeah. So we're neighbors, just so you know, because I'm also right there in that little triangle. But when you were looking at kind of going back to feeling good, not looking good, right? But feeling good. What were some of the little shifts that you started doing to combat, you said you have all the cellulite and you're not feeling good and your hormones are all off. So tell us, what did you do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like, okay, stop. I don't want to do these injections anymore with the fertility because I just want to find the root of what the issue is. This is all a sign that something is not okay. And that's when I started to go on. I was still using naturopath and acupuncture and all that before. I mean, like I had been it, but I was truly like, let's get to the root of this. And then I found out with better hormonal checks, what was going on with my hormones, what was going on with the infertility, and then follow up with the miscarriages and stuff like that. And why. And I just wanted to treat the base of it. I actually didn't want to get pregnant anymore. I was happy adopting, but I wanted to be my best person at 70 years old for my adopted daughter. And obviously I was not on a good path at this point. And I wanted my energy back. And I have to be honest, like, I feel like I'm 20 again. That's how much energy it takes to one, have two littles and under four and five and run a business. But I just am like in such a better mood. I have so much more on my plate and I feel like I can manage it all because of that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I still go through things.
I want to just say, I need whatever you have. So just bring it over because it is like, I'm 45. I have a 1-year-old and an almost 6-year-old, running a growing business. And it's a lot to juggle. And I definitely am feeling like the energy that I had is not where it used to be. And just little things, I could just start feeling like things are shifting. And so what action did you take? So you were trying all of these things, you were doing homeopathic and, more Eastern medicine. But what was the instigator to you starting a whole new product line on your own? Because this was not something that you had any previous knowledge in or experience in.
Kind of. I mean, I did. So it actually melded both of my backgrounds. So I've been in beauty for 20 years and I've been in fitness and health for 20 years. As I mentioned, I started working at 15. I put myself through school. And so I've always had like 3 jobs to hustle. And that's why how I can basically have a lot of background.
That's why you're where you're at today. Yes.
Yes. And so also what broke down my body because I ran off of high stress. But I've learned to balance that. But so I worked in beauty and skincare. I worked with all the plastic surgeons in town. I've, gone into surgery with them. I've managed their offices before. I've, been a national trainer 20 years ago for Sephora. So I trained all new employees in skincare and health. I met every founder from Strivectin to Dr. Perricone to Dr. Murad at that point. This was the original time where you just get to learn straight from them. Really, really learn. And my mom is an esthetician and worked for La Mer, La Prairie, Clarins, all this kind of stuff. And I ran a microcurrent business around the world, the devices and spas. So I've always had
So you did know a thing or two.
While I was training, yes. And I will say, when my body was starting to break down and I was modeling, I was on a TV show, I was starting to create this brand. And I can get into that in a second. But that was the nice part when I took time off of fitness to really get my health back for about a year. I was working on this instead. And it was that beautiful kind of creative, like I'm in the right spot, to be doing this kind of alignment so that I could take time off too and feel like I was still being useful. But really, I mean, so KO is our brand and it's over here, which is why I keep pointing on my desk here. It means knockout. TKO, we always say total knockout. So it's KO and it's just a play on the verbiage of it. And like knockout body care, knockout bodies, and knockout high performance skincare. And it evolved just because I'm a pre and postnatal specialist too. My clients were having babies, and they're aging with me, but I think this is 8 to 10 years ago. Clean skincare wasn't as evolved as it is now. And they're looking for things to put on their skin. And we're all seeing signs of aging, including myself in a sports bra and shorts all the time. And there was nothing on the market. There was La Mer, which was uber expensive and unfortunately still had a lot of preservatives in it. And there was Neutrogena and there was a basic, or there was like the 1099 with CoQ10 in it. And, it was like, these are not effective. Or there's coconut oil, plain coconut oil, but that's not a high performance. It's not what your skin needs. It doesn't even absorb if there's not a proper delivery method with oils specifically. So my pregnant clients were dry and itchy underneath consistently. So I just went about creating what we call face grade body care as our trademark. And we really kind of shook up the skincare industry with it and said, your body is as important as your face and you need to take care of it because it's wellness too. Yes. It is your biggest organ.
Yeah, for sure. So give us a little inside scoop. So you had the experience of working in beauty, understanding skincare, but I know that when I have an idea, there's a difference between the idea and actually like making it happen, right? So I would love for you to share a little bit about what you learned in launching your own product line. And I'm super excited to try it. And I think we decided before this call that you're going to be a speaker at Brilliant this year.
Yes. Yes, I am. Absolutely. And I cannot wait. It's going to be such a privilege to be there and meet all the ladies. And
so amazing. So
give some wisdom on it. So
absolutely. I have to say all the speakers are like, oh my gosh, I just want to stay and learn from everyone else too, because it's such a beautiful collective of souls and women in different industries that have tried and done different things. And that's what I want to learn. I don't want to learn from a bunch of coaches doing coaching things or a bunch of people in product doing just product. I think it's really interesting when women come together as a collective from different backgrounds to say, hey, I tried this and it was amazing, or I tried this and it was not so amazing. So maybe give me, 3 lessons that you have learned just throughout your 20 plus years experience right now in health and beauty and wellness for that woman who's listening and she's inspired, but she doesn't maybe know next steps. And I think we're going in 2 different directions, right? We have the wellness side of what you've created, but then we also have the how you built a business out of it. So maybe we do a couple different segues.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's so many. Let's start with business. And I think let's start with the internal portion of the business, and then I can give some like active steps in creating. But I think one of the biggest things that I learned, because you bring this up, like, how did you get to the point of actually creating something? I have learned through the experiences in my life that I get these inspirations literally that I feel are going to happen in my life or I want to happen in my life. They're like goals, but it's almost more like I always knew I was going to adopt a kid, but you never know if you're ever going to, but it was something in my heart forever.
Yeah.
And
I call that intuition. Isn't that like your intuition, like your inner knowing?
It feels like intuition. And then you kind of question it. I feel like sometimes like, is this really what I should be going towards? But when I started to think of the idea and experimenting at home with body skincare, I knew it was going to happen, but I knew by that point, I'm patient with my environment until the perfect time and preparations align to make something happen. So I don't force things to happen anymore. I kind of go about my business in my day and, allow to come back, imagine that, work on it creatively in my brain and put it aside. So I think that,
I think that lesson alone is really valuable because I think as visionaries or entrepreneurs, like we have an idea and we get so disenchanted when it doesn't happen fast enough or quick enough. And I think, again, most people, they don't get to where they ever want to be just because of impatience. Impatience kills dreams more than anything else. So the fact that you said, you know what, I trusted the timing, I was in flow, I wasn't forcing, I think is a really powerful lesson that we need to hear as we're building our businesses, because not everything happens in the exact time frame that we want it to.
Yeah. And it happened soon after anyway. And it kind of aligned perfectly. So if I would have tried to do it on my own, I would have never made this.
Love how that works.
What I have right now, what I call a success because I'm happy with it, I would have never been able to get there because everything else kind of perfectly aligned for our lab here, a family that I know that had been in the business to assist so I could control every ingredient and not be at a big lab, not being able to see what's really going in there or making it out of my kitchen, obviously, which is fine too, but it depends on what your long-term goals are. Yeah. And I think in business too, one of the biggest things that I've learned is as you can get to a spot, you need to add in those experts to help you in each of the fields. I know what my expertise is and where my talents lie, and trying to manage too much. And you end up managing a lot, but having amazing team of experts, like people that really know their spot is going to take you that much faster to where you want to go. So you take that money, you put it right back in, you start hiring your team in. And if it's not working, I think that's the other thing too. You have to drop those individuals or whatever is not working for you as fast as you can too. It hurts. It sucks. It's like, I always like to give long-term, help and positions. We've had people that working for us that have had addiction issues. And I'm like, that's okay. We're going to try again. And then they don't show up again. I'm like, we're going to try
I believe in you. Yeah.
But yes. Yeah. And, I'm still there to support them, but you do have to think if it's your business specifically, it's your baby and it's the same, how you would treat your babies. You do have to protect it.
Yep. The old adage, hire slow, fire fast, right?
Yeah.
And I think as women, that can be very hard because it is difficult to let go. And those are, can be painful conversations and situations, but nothing's worse, I think, than having someone on your team that isn't a fit. And what I've learned is that if it's not a fit for me, it's not a fit for them, and vice versa. Like if I find talent and I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I could hire this someone, but we're not a fit for them, then I just have to say they're not supposed to be on team IL, but I will say one of the smartest things I continue to do is hire people that are smarter than me, in different areas of expertise, because I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. That's why I have brilliant. So I can learn from the other women as well. See, I'm smart.
I love it. You're brilliant. No, I
Yes, yes.
absolutely agree. I love learning. And that's been the coolest part for me. Like, I didn't understand the skincare industry background. And I've had a team of people that have worked for Herbalife, to Procter and Gamble, to Revlon and Estee Lauder that now work for me. And it's amazing to learn all of that
Yeah.
from them. It just, for me personally, to feel like I'm evolving as Christine, not as a business, not as a businesswoman. Like,
Mm.
I just am learning. You feel like you're back at school, and I just always want to evolve.
Always. Yeah. And I think when, we stop doing that, then our business does tend to stop growing as well, because I think that our business and the ability to grow it is usually an extension of what we believe and how we take care of ourselves. So let's shift for a moment. I love the business advice. Can't wait to get more and hear more. Let's talk about the wellness side. For the woman that feels like she is, coming out of, her 30s, she's feeling that low energy, maybe she's losing her hair, and just, obviously feeling the toll of the hormones wreaking havoc on her life. What would you recommend? And what did you do to feel healthy in your own body and space again?
I think there's multiple things. And, I hear so many women going through similar things, going through infertility because they don't have to have stressed their body out in fitness like I did, but life is starting to stress us out and stretch us too far. And then it shows up in symptoms of hair loss, of gaining weight or losing too much weight, of lack of energy, of becoming addicted to more things that provide us energy, like coffee and Celsius and energy drinks and stuff like that, which then can have, depending on how you're using them, obviously degrade us even more or deteriorate us even more. So my biggest thing is where do you start? Find it's truly, and I hate to use this word over again, as I say, find your motivation or find your inspiration. Like, first off, you have to know why you want to be healthy. And I love, like, well, ex-boyfriend want to look good, and you're like at the gym, but it really only lasts for like 2 weeks or so while you're angry. And then it's like done.
And then you're back with the cakes and the wine in the pantry. Yes.
And the bad boyfriend probably again. So, yeah. So, I mean, you need this like long-term inspiration. And for me, it's like, I am like a little science geek, and I just want to feel my best every day. I just want to feel that best. So I'm providing that. And I think now my daughters and my family are truly something too. Like, I want to be the best mom I can be every single day for them and have that energy at the end of the day after working all day. So one, you really have to find what is sticking to you in the long term. And then I do believe that it's very small, simple changes of finding what's working for your body. I can only say for me, in the sense of me, my fitness, it evolved. I started to do low impact, high intensity, I call it. And that's what I specialize in. It's not a lot of jumping and pounding. It's not over calorie burn, basically, because then I don't have the energy throughout my day. My thing is that we live a very high impact lifestyle now. It deteriorates our energy. Our brain burns so many calories alone, handling everything around us. So our workouts actually can create cortisol. They do create cortisol in our bodies too. And I think we need to shift from thinking of these high intensity, heavyweight workouts, start to think age defense workouts where they're lower impact on our cortisol levels, lower impact on our bodies, on the inflammation in our bodies, but they're getting the results, and I have to say, like, how it's evolved with me now that I've fallen in love with fitness again, actually, after my second baby, after birthing a baby finally. And
yeah, congratulations.
Because it's like worked, like I feel great again. And I am back to a weight, not that I wasn't my goal whatsoever, but I'm back to the weight in my 20s that I never hit through my 30s, and my body type, you know what I mean? Not even the fitness modeling or anything like that. So I feel good. Number two, I think it's making sure you get the nutrients that you need every single day, because we are made of, what we eat, basically. And I do think supplementation is important. And that's why we ended up adding it into my business. I've always had it. And I love that people say you should eat your nutrients. I agree, but that's a lot of foods. It's a lot of planning for a busy woman. And our soils just don't have the nutrients, that they want. So our foods don't have them. So
let me tell you, if I can drink it, or take it down with a pill, I will. I mean, I try so hard to plan ahead and, we order fresh food, but it is a challenge when
Yeah.
you are just running as fast as we all are, And so I think we have to look at, yes, eat clean, eat organic, do meal prep if you can, but, also supplements are a great addition to those things.
We absolutely need it. And I have to tell you, I live a very balanced lifestyle. I always say I eat briskets and Hawaiian rolls on the weekends or nachos at night when I have nothing else to grab. Everyone's like, you must have the perfect diet and I work out maybe twice a week now for 20 to 30 minutes. I have no time, right? So
yeah,
it is about finding things that are really effective. And that I think these things stand the test of time or the truth for all women. That's it. We're different. There's going to be, you may not eat eggs and I eat eggs or something like that. But these basic things of how you're working out for it to be effective and worth your time. And, number two, getting the nutrients in, because when you align your inner body, it's like my body just went, whoop, I'm back to where it needs to be. I used to have bloating, horrible stomach issues from the stress and all of that, complete, deterioration. And it's like, I feel so awesome. And I'm just so glad that I can feel like that again. That's the biggest thing.
So how do other women feel like that again, Christine? I know that they're leaning in, they're turning up their device right now going, okay, how do I get some of what she's talking about?
Okay. So I think some of the basic things are taking self-care moments. Let's take 5 minutes a day. You can calendar them for yourself. You can plan it kind of like you would your Sunday. So maybe 2 days a week, you have a workout, and it could be a 20-minute workout. We're all obviously at home. And the blessing is that there's so many amazing at-home workouts now. Just launched some on Sports Illustrated. We actually have 11 rolling out on there. Our friend Katrina is now a model there. It's awesome. But we have on FitOn. FitOn is a free app with tons of workouts and all amazing trainers. I know them all personally. Not only are they good people, they're talented too. I like what they're doing. So,
and you said that is FitOn. So we'll make sure we have all the links in the show notes so we can make sure everyone gets access to those
I like
things.
it because it's free. So you get to just at least click it and see if you like it. Yeah. And so, but then it could be other scheduling in there. Maybe it's okay, I don't take my supplements every day. I'm not really great at that, but I'm going to calendar it in 2 days a week and start on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, really doing that. 1 day a week, I take a bath. From there, it starts to grow and taking care of yourself and finding those small moments. From our body care brand, it's I think spraying that serum all over you, just not your face and throwing it on and going, taking 2 more minutes, throw on some cream, lowers the cortisol levels. Your body starts to, truly align for the day. It can be your moment of focus too. It is a ritual for me to do that most days and or most evenings. Yeah.
And I think that's the key. And I love that you said this because it's something every single woman can do. We can take 5 minutes a day. We can say, I'm going to take a bath once a week, right? I'm going to lock the door. My kids are not allowed. Honey, take them, right? I'm going to take a minute and breathe a little deeper and work out. I can work out twice a week for 20 minutes. I'm going to guess that most women are if I don't do it, then I'm not going to do anything. We're so hard on ourselves that if I can't do an hour a day, I'm just not going to do it. Right? It's that all or nothing, but it's the little things that you do every day that actually adds up to everything in your life, how you feel, how you think, how your business grows. And so I appreciate that because again, looking at you in the background and, what you've built out with Kaio, it's all amazing. And yet we have to remember that it's those little things that we do every day that adds to the bigger things. And I just also want to highlight, Christine, something that you said too. It's you said that you let go of the idea of having a baby, and that you are fine with adopting and that you let go of that. And that just made me think about life in general, that when we can let go of things, that doesn't mean lose hope, and it doesn't, but just be okay with where things are at, then I think you allow God, universe, spirit. I don't know. I just feel like that was a really beautiful part of your story is that I let go of the expectation. I stopped putting my body through, all of those things. And then you got pregnant, which is just such a beautiful story on its own of just about letting go.
Yeah. And it's funny that you should say it the way that you just said it, I let go, but as it comes back to my first lesson, I knew that my dream was not for a biological child, but to experience childbirth and child creation, human creation, because all I know in life is bodies. That's what I've always loved. I went to CMU, drew bodies, like I love it. And I wanted to experience that. And I knew that if I wanted that so bad, that was one of those intuition or dreams and whatever it is in the universe. Like I knew that promise was always going to be fulfilled, but I was like absolutely at the same time okay with it not happening. So it was such I just wasn't working towards it anymore.
Right.
I was
Well, again, you kind of went back to, being in flow, like really being in flow and taking care of you. And I think when we do that in all aspects of our life, what we're supposed to have and create shows up for us. But when we're constantly in force and struggle and, conflict with our bodies, with our partners, with anything, it's really hard to create in that space, create life, create a business, create anything. So I feel like I've met another soul sister, which I love so much. And thank you for that.
Yeah. I mean, it starts here with where your relationships are. It starts here with, with your children. Like it's all about putting your air mask on. So many mothers that I know and business owners, wherever you are, or if you're in school, we're constantly thinking about everything else instead of getting this right first. Even when I have off days, I stop, I take a breath, I meditate, I pray, I do what I need to. I go outside, breathe in fresh air and get a little sunshine and come back in to reset myself. Cause it's like a hamster wheel, but you're like ahead of yourself, right? You're not in your flow.
You're trying to catch up with yourself. Yes. 5 minutes a day. Yeah. We can do 5 minutes a day.
5 minutes. I have so many more tips. Yes. I have to say, but like that's the really basic for people, to get, but I have so many other nutritional tips and all that really help too.
All right. So I can't leave the audience with like, what are they? So give us one other, and then I'm going to say, will you promise to share more of those at the Brilliant event coming up?
Yes, I would love to. I would love to.
Okay.
Oh my God.
All right. So let's leave our beautiful inspired living community with one more juicy tip from Christine, and then we will wrap it up.
Oh man, what is the first tip? I have so many. Okay, well, look, I deal a lot with bloating. I mean, I just hear women talk about it all the time, and it's like that one basic thing. So one of my biggest tips, I was talking about it with a group of women yesterday, is I use a bark called Pau d'Arco. And it's PAUD''ARCO. You use the inner bark. It's a tree in South America. It's been amazing. I lived in Asia before, came home with buggies in my belly, had the worst digestive system after that. It really just did like long-term effects. And one of my naturopath doctors recommended it to me, and it was amazing. I just made this tea from little bark. I don't use the tea bags. They're not strong enough. I make my own beautiful black tea. I think it's delicious. You can throw some lemon in it. And it's my reset for my digestive system. So if you have candida makes us, there's multiple symptoms. You don't have to have all of these, but you could have some where you have acne, psoriasis, eczema, skin disorders. You have bloating, you're gaining weight, you're constantly craving sugars, and that means breads and wines and alcohols too, because it feeds off of it. You have low energy, lethargy, lack of focus. I mean, it really affects the whole body. And so a lot of times we think with our tummies, people are like probiotics, the good bacteria, but we have to get rid of the bad bacteria first. And so this just cleanses your belly. It's a tea. It's not a laxative whatsoever. And you will literally see your cravings go from sweet to salty. You will see it's an anti-inflammatory. So it's great for your joints, your skin. You can drink it anytime. You can't, I'm sure you could overdose on anything, but you know what I mean? It's a tea. It's like lavender or anything else.
Don't drink too much bark. Okay.
But I use it to reset all the time. And so, I do a little cleanse with it. I just drink my teas, and it really readjusts everything for you. So that's one of my top tips. You cut first and then you add back. I have like our supplements here. And so that's when we say, then you add back, and you add back nutrients after you've gotten rid of the bad stuff.
So how do we get this tea? How do we create this tea? How do we find the bark?
It used to have the inner bark used to be in big bags, and it's bark on Amazon. But I think through COVID, I've had more and more people have issues. I find it on Etsy now. We're actually launching a product with it in it too. Like I've already come up with something. It's just a tincture, and it's a mixture of stuff as well for KO, so that it's a lot easier for people. But by all means, go grab that bark for right now.
Go grab that bark. I love that tip. Okay. And of course, the question I have for you is wine, tequila, or none?
Oh, I have an absolute answer for that. And that's tequila. Look, it's like, for whatever reason, my body, the cleaner it gets, the more I have responses to everything else. So tequila is really the only hard alcohol I can drink. And it's not the cheap tequila we used to take shots with in our 20s. And honestly, I don't even drink Patron or anything like that. Like my favorite, and I'm not a rep for it, but is Casa Draglones. It's so clean. It tastes like water. You can sip it without sugar. Like you don't have to add anything to it, but you can add a little lime. So that way you're not adding sugars to it. And I wake up as a high functioning adult. Like I'm never hungover unless I truly drink way too much. Wine it puts me to sleep. It's too much sugar. If you think about it, it really does all add up. But it also just puts me to sleep and I'm hungover the next morning. Like hungover in the sense, like I don't have the energy and the
lethargic,
focus that I need.
A little more tired. Yeah.
Yeah. So
well, that just drove tequila sales up the roof, right? But what's so funny is that I had never had tequila before and I just started drinking it about a year ago. And I know, crazy, right? I was kind of a vodka soda girl, or I would drink red wine. And since I've cut those things out, I feel my body has reset as well. Whole nother conversation. We'll still have wine at Brilliant, but we'll make sure there's tequila there too.
Okay.
All right.
Love it. Yes.
All right. So Christine, I always wrap up with the question, what does inspired living mean to you?
Yeah, my mom raised me to you're blessed to be a blessing. And I think that being, finding your inspiration typically means something that really gives back. And so I think for me, living that inspired life is continuing on a path where whatever I'm creating and whatever I'm doing not only gives back to my family by making me a better person. If it's increasing my stress and decreasing my true self, it may not be at the right point because I want to give back to them. But also in my businesses, like I love wellness. My first place is wellness and fitness and bodies. Like that's what I love. So I'm inspired by them. Business was a separate thing to get in to be able to share that with more people. But even in business, I get to give back to people, whether it's talking, through to you, whether it is paying the bills for an employee. I love it, or having products that people get to feel better about themselves and continue to do that as well. So I think it's just finding something that you get to be a blessing, and truly then you are blessed. It's kind of the opposite way that my mom told me.
It really is true. It really is. The more you give, the more you get. And Christine, you've certainly blessed us today. And I so appreciate you taking the time and can't wait to have you with us at Brilliant this year. And just thank you so much. I'm going to say, make sure you follow Christine on Instagram. You will love following her. And Christine, is there any other way? We'll check out Kaya. I'll make sure they have all the links in the show and the blog notes. Any other way you want them to connect with you?
Yeah, definitely Instagram. I have so many tips there. I have the how I make the pale d'arco, everything. But we have a blog on KO as well. So you can always go there for recipes and information and all of that. And that's just on kobodycare.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your beautiful energy and tips today.
Brilliant.
It'll be amazing. So by the way, we have very few tickets for the live in person this year. We're going to make it very COVID safe, but very luxurious and just really what we need right now, which is community and inspiration and to learn from women that have really built these amazing businesses. So if you want to join us in person, go to thebrilliantevent.com. And if you want to stay in your yoga pants a little bit longer, you can join us virtually this year as well. So make sure to go grab your ticket and join us. The speakers this year, oh my gosh, are phenomenal. And I love that I asked Christine, I'm like, you need to come to Brilliant. And she's just like, I'm in, done. This is how it works, my friend. So thank you so much, Christine. And thank you so much for being a part of our amazing community. I hope you got so much out of this interview today. And as I always say, you know what? Remember to just keep dreaming it, living it, and being it. Until next time. You've just heard another uplifting episode of Inspired Living with Keri Murphy, the podcast. I hope you loved it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. And if you'd like to know more about Inspired Living or to get your hands on many of our awesome free resources, such as the Be Studio Ready Guide, simply visit us at inspiredliving.tv/podcast. Remember, your vision is your destiny, and we're here to help you bring it to life. Join me again next week for another extraordinary episode.